So, what's the proverbial statute of limitations on calling for the death of someone's children in the name of politics? This is Jay Jones, the Democrat Party's nominee for Virginia Attorney General. Jay sent some shocking text messages a couple years back, 2022, months after he resigned a state legislative seat. There were messages that called for his political opponent to get, quote, 2 bullets to the head. Those are his words. Democrats are horrified, by the way, but not about the messages, just about the fact that they've been released to the public. They've been caught. Otherwise, it's okay on their part. No issues whatsoever. Just why did they get leaked? Even in today's violent political climate, Democrats mostly don't have much to say about it. I remember when an odd scream was enough to end a political campaign. Right, Howard Dean?
Not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. And we're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House.
That last part, he was leading the presidential race until he got, people were turned off. He just yelled, yeah. But this clown is now calling for the death of an opponent is okay. Let's just move past it, says the party of violence, Democrat. So, say Jay Jones, again, running for Virginia Attorney General, sent text messages back in 22 about Todd Gilbert, who at the time was the Republican Speaker of the House, State House, that is, in Virginia. In one part, Jones wrote to a former colleague, listen to this, quoting Jay Jones, 3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. Wow. Lawmaker who has sent these messages pushed back, writing that Jones had made a comment on the phone about hoping Gilbert's children died. Jones then replies, yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. He's basically laying out his whole idea of killing his opponent's family. This guy's running to be Virginia's top law enforcer. Think about that for a second. Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger, who's running for Virginia governor against Winsome Sears, currently lieutenant governor of Virginia, has come out in support of Jones. Do you believe this? A woman running for governor is in support of a guy who called for the death and the assassination of his opponent's family, not just his opponent, his opponent's family, spouse, and kids. In a statement, she condemned the rhetoric, but there were no calls for this guy to drop out or even consider doing so, which tells me Spanberger, is just fine with it. Let me just say this. Winsome Sears put out this political ad as a result against her opponent, Spanberger. If this doesn't get the point across, I think we're at a loss.
Breaking news from the campaign trail.
Jay Jones is under fire tonight.
Jay Jones is under fire.
Jay Jones is under fire after messages he sent in 2022 saying former Virginia House Speaker Todd Gilbert should be shot.
I'm excited about this ticket.
It's been great to be out on the campaign trail with Jay Jones.
You said Gilbert's wife could watch her own child die in her arms so that Gilbert might reconsider his political views.
We deserve an attorney general who will stand up for the people of Virginia.
Jones said, quote, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head.
Yeah, doesn't this qualify this guy from holding office? Disqualifies him from even existing out of incarceration. Look, bottom line, Jay Jones fantasized about killing an opponent's children, and he lost exactly 0 Democrat votes. 0. That tells you everything you need to know about the Democrat Party. It's a party of political violence. You can't tell me otherwise. They incite it. They condone it. The Democrat Party of 30, maybe even just 20 years ago, would have told this man to step down immediately after learning that he called for the killing of a man purely for holding opposing views. Does Charlie Kirk sound familiar here, folks? And yes, those texts were sent in private. Sorry. So were the ones sent between FBI disgraces and lovers, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, in which Peter Strzok guarantees to Lisa Page that they will do everything in their power to prevent a Trump presidency within the FBI. Remember that? Peter was fired from the FBI and then lost the First Amendment case when he tried to fight it. I've said it before, we'll say it again. Staunch defender of the Constitution and of our First Amendment rights. I've also slammed our government for the so-called Patriot Act that was passed after the 9/11 attacks as a means to surveil citizens without getting a warrant. I'm against that too. But when you talk about breaking the law, yeah, this guy's another story completely. When you preach violence, I don't know, another story completely. You're running to the attorney general. You want to be the attorney general of a major state, and you call for bullets to the head of your political opponent. Yes, it's true. We're in an entirely new climate right now. I'm not sure if you heard, but there's a violent army of leftists out there who suddenly feel empowered to shoot people they don't agree with. In Utah, for example, or when Trump was running in Butler, Pennsylvania, or in West Palm Beach when he's golfing. So I'm just going to go out on a ledge here and say that the appetite in America right now for politicians who call for bullets in people's heads is at an all-time low. Jay Jones should drop out of the race, and anyone who plays whataboutism is part of the problem. Either we normalize calls for physical violence or we move away from the madness. It's one or the other. Democrats are trying to normalize what Jay Johnson said. You can't do that. And you can't say you're not the party of violence when a guy who calls for the bullets to an opponent's head and he's still running for attorney general, top lawmaker in the state of Virginia. It's asinine. Democrats are asses. We'll be back, 2.5 minutes.